Finally, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me in my, I'm going to call it an impromptu little live stream. I decided to do it. And only because I had loads of feedback this morning. I spoke to Fiona and Graham this morning, spoke to my parents, spoke to a few other individuals. They said, Trevor, why don't you come on and talk about the 6th of December? Okay, so I will. Yes, I had worked, I'm going to let you know now, I had worked on several overseas operations with my unit. And in 2005, I'm leading you up to what happened here. In 2005, I was part of a advanced recce team, and I went to Baghdad with my OC, Major Morphew, and our role was to sort of carry out a quick reconnaissance of Baghdad support unit, Route Irish, the roles and procedures carried out by the troops on a daily basis, and also what the accommodation was like, what the phones and internet were like, what it was like for soldiers to have like a few hours off. And basically my OC asked me to take notes, because whenever we left Baghdad, we were there for about 36 hours in Baghdad, which is not long. So in the 36 hours that I was there, I did all the sort of routine stuff that the rest of the guys had done. I was taking notes and taking photographs, and I was involved in a insurgents ambush on Route Irish, which was at the time the most dangerous road in the world with varieties and attacks. Got involved in a suicide attack there. Myself and the rest of the troops dealt with the enemy, and we eliminated the threat, and we got back. When we got back into Baghdad, we were told to sort of unload, sit down, relax, grab a brew, and we were all called forward one at a time into the guard room, where I believe the boss at the time was Alan Somerville, and we all went in and we had to explain what we seen. There were statements written for us. What did you see? How many enemy did you see? What vehicle were you in? Why did you fire here? How many bullets did you fire? Where did you fire each? So we give detailed, accurate statements. Anyway, I thought nothing of it. During that tour, I actually thought nothing of it. Christmas went, the New Year went, and I volunteered to go from Iraq and Baghdad. I volunteered to leave Baghdad and go and fight in Helmand with 3 para. Anyway, we did all the different bits and pieces. I'm now in Helmand, and this is about, well, September the 4th or 6th, wasn't it? Yeah. So September the 7th, 2006, nearly a year later, I've just lost one of my men. On the 6th of September, I lost one of my men. He was killed, and my morale was in my boots. Morale was in the gutter. Things were falling apart around me. And I remember getting called into the little ops room in Sangin. Major Paul Blair, who got the DSO, said, there's a phone call for you in a minute. And I went in and picked up the phone. Now, bear in mind, I'd just lost my second in command, like hours before he'd been killed. And the phone rang. It was a field telephone, and I answered. I went, and it was like someone with a snobby voice. Global Cult. And I went, yep. Well, I don't know if you're aware of this, but you've just been awarded the Military Cross. And I went, I hung up. I just walked out, and the OC said to me, Paul Berry went, everything okay? I went, crank call. And he went, what? Global Cult, that was the brigade commander. And I'm like, what? Fucking brigade commander wants to speak to you. And I went back in, got awarded it. I went onto the roof of Sangin, DC that day. I got my sat phone out, and I had to dial. It was about 17 numbers. I think it's about 17 or 18 numbers you have to dial to get through all the different connections through to the UK. I didn't know what time it was in the UK, if I'm honest. Didn't have a clue. I believe it was early hours in the morning, because anyway, what happened was I phoned my parents, and I think my dad answered the phone. And I says, Dad. And he said, yes, do you know what time it is? And I'm like, well, no. Dad, just to let you know, would you like to go and see the Queen? And he went, what? Would you like to go and see the Queen? He went, what are you talking about? I says, I've just been awarded the Military Cross. What my dad did? He went, oh, fuck off. And he hung up on me. Thought I was lying. So there we go. Well, I don't blame him, if I'm honest. I don't blame him. But yeah, so it happened. So I came back from September after that tour, October, November, my name was being thrown everywhere. I was being used as a poster boy by battalion. My mental health was in shit state, if I remember rightly. I'd just done 2 kinetic tours back to back. Kinetic means gunfighting, war fighting. I'd just done 2 kinetic tours back to back, and I came back, I was a little bit broken. But I couldn't be broken. No. Poster boy with an MC. I had to go. I started purchasing ties and suits and stuff, didn't I, to go to different events. And yeah. Anyway, I remember it was the 6th of December, 2006, 17 years ago today. And I stayed in a Union Jack hotel in London, which is a bit like a service hotel. It is. It's actually very, very nice. If you're a veteran out there and you're not a member, why not? Well, it's not free, but yeah. So went there, stayed with my parents, different rooms. Took my #1 uniform down, which is the greens with my call bean. I dressed my hackle, had everything immaculate, and then we went out for dinner. Me and my parents that night. Sorry, this was the 6th. This was the 5th. This was the 5th of December. We went out for dinner. We went to a fancy restaurant, and I was like, let's just get champagne. Let's just get big meals. And the reason why I did that, people, and you may not like me for this, I said, well, let's get expensive champagne. I had to pay for it there, but I got the money back. The taxpayer covered my meal, actually, I believe. So, yeah, we ordered good champagne, had a lovely meal, went and chilled out. That night I went out for a beer with another Military Cross recipient, James Newell from 2 Para. He was a sergeant. Anyway, the day of the investiture, it was a little bit strange because when we came down to the hotel lobby in the morning, we had breakfast. I remember saying, right, has everyone got their pass? Has everyone got their pass? Could you get passes issued to you to go through the gates of Buckingham Palace? Now, this sounds weird. So after the most important day of my life at that time, not since, my dad goes, I don't know where. Oh, checks all his pockets. He says, I don't know where my pass is. And then he goes, I've left it in Belfast. What? You've left your pass in Belfast? Yep. My mother was fuming. Anyway, she says, well, let's just go. So we got into the taxi and we went all the way to the front of Buckingham Palace. There was crowds all over the place. We went through the gate and the police officer, who I still think to this day, his question was a little bit retarded, if I'm honest. He says, have you got your passes? I says, yes, there's my investiture. And I says, my dad's forgot his pass. He went, what? I says, my dad's forgot his pass. He's left it in Belfast. The police officer then looks at me and he says, can you vouch for this guy? What? You think I bought a fake parent to my investiture? Of course I can fucking vouch for him. He's my father. Okay, then off you go. And we went in. Anyway, we went through the archway at Buckingham Palace, through there into the courtyard. And then I believe we parted company. My mother and father went to another room and I went up the stairs and I went to a room where you sit and you prepare and you learn your etiquette. You learn all. It was my pleasure. Harry, you would never win a gallantry medal because you're woke and you've never done anything. But yeah, so we went up the stairs. I went into a private room. It was just filled with soft drinks. There was lots of dignity. There's lots of celebrities there. Don't know what happened, but I ended up in a conversation with Charles Worthington, the famous hairdresser, and we were chatting away there. And he was chatting about her, clearly, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I've done my best, Charles. Yeah, but yeah, and it was just all juice. I learned all the etiquette there for the day, and then I had to wait because in the whole investiture that day, I was the last person to go in front of the Queen, and that's because I don't know if it still works like that, but Her Majesty the Queen always believed that her soldiers, right, were important, and she wanted everyone in the room to see them. So she lets through all the MBEs and the OBEs and the CBEs and all the citations and all the knighthoods, and then she wants her soldiers at the end to come in front of everyone. So that's how she did it. I was lucky to go last, but it was quite strange. I don't know if anyone's ever done it before. I'm sure there might be a few on here that's done that type of thing, but I was last to go through, and I mean, you do panic because it is Her Majesty the Queen. You do panic. I remember being told, okay, you'll stand still. Whenever the guy in front of you takes a step back, bows, turns to the right, remember he walks off, that is your cue to move forward. And my palms were sweating a little bit. So I went forward, stopped in front of the Queen, turned to the left, bowed. I took a step forward. Don't know why I did it, but I bowed again. Then she put her hand out and we shook hands. And she wasn't wearing her gloves, actually. Yeah, she wore her gloves at the start of the ceremony, but she ended up taking her gloves off. Don't know why, but she did. But anyway, now the one thing that I did notice, which I don't know if anyone's ever seen this. Trevor, you're looking a bit green, lad. No, I'm all right. I'm okay. Yeah. Maybe because I'm in pain, John. Maybe because I'm in pain. But just in case you weren't aware of this, if you ever get to see an investiture, I don't know if it's changed because it's now the king, isn't it? But it used to be the Queen stood on a little box, because you could never look down on the Queen. The Queen looked down on you, if you know what I mean. I don't mean that in a terrible way, but she stood on a box, so she was heightened. And whenever you take that step forward towards the Queen, and then you move again towards the Queen, see whenever you go and you move your hand or you move towards the Queen. I didn't know this, but I got a little bit on edge. But the Queen had private bodyguards, which were Gurkhas in their full number ones, standing to the rear of her, over to the left and right. So whenever you move towards the Queen, the Gurkhas' drills were, they went like this and they put their hands on their kugri. They put their hands on their kugri as if to say, one more step towards the Queen and you're getting it. And that's quite nerve-wracking. I don't know if anyone's ever done that in front of the Queen or whatever, or sort of royal family. But in those sort of circumstances, those guys are there to protect her. So if you are going to move forward towards Her Majesty the Queen, they're there to move in. And that puts you a little bit on nerve. Anyway, it was great. We had a conversation about things. Then I take a step back and I turned to the right and I walked off. But because I was the last person to go through that day, I had to walk down the corridor and then take a right down the red carpet. And then I had to stop, halt, and about turn, and I had to guard the door. Nobody was allowed out, no one was allowed in, and I was to stand and guard the door because the Queen then stepped down from the podium and the Gurkhas went behind her. And it was quite weird because they were like, it looked like they were quick marching, like all the way behind the Queen. And she went through the corridor and off she went whenever they played God Save the Queen at the time. It was great. But that wasn't the end of it. I thought getting the medal and then off I went, that was the end of it, but it wasn't. Because as I walked down the corridor on my way out, a man standing there and he gives me the box. This is the box, by the way. That's the box. The man gives me the box for the medal. So as he gives you the box for the medal, my parents then go, oh, hi. And hi. And we start walking down the corridor amongst dozens and dozens of other people. And we're walking down this corridor. And the wall, the paintings in there are worth it. They're beautiful. The deck, everything's fantastic. And as we're walking down, I looked at this wall and the wall opened up. It opened up. And I thought it was strange. And from behind the painting, a man walked out. Now, if you've been in Buckingham Palace and you know these walls exist, you understand. A man walked out from the wall and he went, Mr. Colt. And I went, yes. Could you and your parents please come with me? And I was a bit, okay. So we went through the wall. Everyone was looking at us like, where the hell are they going? And then the wall closed and we went into this like area, foyer type area. And there was a massive metal lift. And as we were getting into the lift, there was golf clubs in there. And I went, who owns these? They are Prince Andrew's golf clubs. And I'm like, okay, strange, right? And then all the way up in the lift, this guy just started apologizing. I'm really, really sorry. Prince Andrew sends his warmest regards. He has had to go in a meeting. He really wanted to meet you today. And he's laid on canopies and champagne upstairs, spend the day up here. And you can spend the day upstairs in Prince Andrew's private quarters. So in the past, ladies and gentlemen, when I have said things like, run off a bit of tongue in cheek, and I've said, I'm probably the only person that's been in Prince Andrew's quarters and never had to get a solicitor. I've said that tongue in cheek. The truth is, I was up there with my parents in his private quarters. The staff were coming in and saying, do you need anything else? Do you want this? Do you want this? And we had champagne. I was going to leave after a glass of champagne, truthfully. And then I just sat there and looked at my parents and I went, no, let's just finish the champagne. Let's just eat the food and then we'll go. Yeah. So yeah, it was a great day, but this was in 2006, the 6th of December, if I remember. I'm telling you now. But the weird thing is, it was 2008. I came back from another operational tour in Afghanistan, and I was a sergeant at the time. And Prince Andrew came to visit my unit in Turnhill, and my name got called out. You're getting an award today. And I'm like, what? Anyway, what happened was, for those that don't know, my nickname in the army used to be Speedy because I was a fast runner. I represented my battalion, I don't know, 100 times in different cross-country races and road and track and stuff. I ran for... I apologize about that. That was Sue Smith trying to call me. Anyway, I did all that stuff, and then Prince Andrew turned up and he was giving me my regimental colours, which is usually like a little plaque with stuff on it. But my unit didn't have regimental colours at the time. So I believe I was given a regimental tie instead. And then I got a beer. He bought me a beer in the mess, a Guinness. So there we go. I mean, great times. Yeah, I look back at that as fond memories. I look back at that day with fond memories. What I don't have fond memories of is what the Military Cross brings you. And that's a fact. The Military Cross brings you misery. It brings you countless attacks. It brings you trolls. It brings you hatred. Apologise, that's Sue Smith trying to call for the second time and I've hung up on her. Yeah, so the Military Cross might be an awesome award. You get post-nominals. You may get invites to Downing Street and stuff like that. But the hate and the mental health that comes at you from that is unbelievable. The stuff that I wrote all about, there's more in-depth stuff about the day, the actions carried out, and the day at Buckingham Palace. It's all in that book. That's the very first book that I wrote, first into singing, and you can get it on Amazon. But listen, I'm going to go. Thanks very much for everyone who decided to tune in. I do appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, people, and stay safe.